G'day guys, this is Rick from Tips and Ratings, just with a ratings preview of Sandown race 6 today, the newsletter. Looks a good race. There's a couple of horses that appear to be value and a few that look to be a little bit too short at this stage. We'll just start to run through all the horses. We'll start with number 1, Beauty Perception. Look, this horse resumes off about a 2-month break. Hasn't won for a while and certainly appears that is a bit of a staying type. However, its fresh run at Cranbourne back on the 14th of September was quite good behind Arctic Song and Lord Sherwood. I thought it sprinted quite well. That was in a benchmark 70. It was only beaten 2.8 lengths and it produced a pretty good speed rating. And then obviously it stepped up in distance and ran fairly well. I sort of think that it stacks up a little bit here today, and I think that whether you want to back it for a win or each way, I think this horse is going to run pretty well at odds around 20 to 1. On to High Ace and O'Kieran Secret. Both these horses are basically having their debut in Australia. They're out in the market a little bit at this stage. Betting against these types of horses are always a little bit of a risk, so we just monitor the market and hopefully if there's a bit of a lead for one of them, you can swing a little bit of a bet on there. Otherwise, you may choose to risk those horses. On to Surging Wave. Look, this is a horse that has got a good bit of talent. As a 3-year-old, he showed good talent actually and raced in some pretty good races. And he just hasn't got back to that level, unfortunately. Last campaign, he was fair. He had a couple of good runs, but certainly was unable to get to the level he was at prior to that. And look, he's sort of a horse that could pop up and win here, but at the same time, just with the other horses, with the fitness and whatnot, he's a horse that we're sort of happy to see today. Zabrins, I thought he won well last start. He's a little bit unders at the moment, but I think he'll probably get out. He just sort of settled off the pace at Ballarat and ran home quite well, beating Zadil. San Carlos was through that race also. I don't think there's a lot more upside to this horse. He sort of is what he is, but certainly what he's been producing, puts him right in contention here. About the journey, it really didn't do a great deal first up. If you go back through its form, you can actually find a couple of runs at a mile that aren't too bad. Second up 2 campaigns back, at 1 at Seymour. Second up last time at Cranbourne, it was beaten by Tory Buck Kid. So it's not hopeless, but it was beaten quite a long way first up, and he's a horse that we're happy to oppose here. On to Valdez. Look, this horse hasn't had a run for a while. It was contesting some of the better races in Tasmania, so it's freshened up and back to a mile. And it's contested races against Admiral, and I think that looks to be in quite well. And if it can freshen up well enough and get back to the mile, I think that the horse is going to map pretty well, and I think that he'll go quite well here. So he's a horse that we expect will run well, and he's a little bit of value at this stage. Boys get around him. He's racing pretty consistently. Whether or not he can sort of get up to this level at this stage of his campaign, we just sort of need to see. He has had 8 or 9 runs, and certainly is quite consistent. So a win wouldn't shock, but just a few others rate a little bit better than him this stage, and whether or not he can sort of elevate where he needs to get to at this stage of his campaign is the unknown. What we do know with horses from the feed or stable is they're very fit and can take some beating. On to Dr. Care. Look, this horse is 4th up. It's a weird runner. We'd expect that this horse will continue to improve. Its last 2 runs have been quite sharp. We just sort of can't quite have it at the price at this stage. However, it's going really well. Gorilla's growing well. It's been back at, when it runs this campaign, it has drawn the outside gate of the field twice and 7 of 11. So where it gets to in the run remains to it's a little bit of a query. It may settle a little bit closer than it has in the past, and the horse is certainly a good chance. Don't plead guilty. He's racing pretty well. He was beaten by Balorum last start, who won at Winnie Valley, and the start before he was beaten by Valdivia, who's won again. So the subsequent form around this horse reads pretty well, and I think that he rates a $9 to $10, $9.50 actually. So he he's sort of racing quite well, and it's sort of hard to fault his form. Onto Love Field, the Moody runner, and look, it's sort of not one that we've been able to find today. I thought it was quite short last start at Mooney Valley. It was beaten a long way, but it did have some issues. Its win at Sale was okay. It did beat Lucky Romance, who came out and ran well last week. But it's going to have to, basically produce a PB to win here for us. So sort of a horse that we're happy to take on. And on to San Carlos, who I thought that he raced really well last start. He just couldn't hold on. He's going to be fitter for that run. And I think that if we just sort of take a look at his only 2 runs at a mile, one he was beaten 4.6 lengths by Set Square at Ballarat, and the other one he came out and won his maiden at Seymour over a mile. So I think third up, this horse is going to run quite well. Obviously, there's a little bit of a margin between him and Zabrin's last start. However, with the added fitness, I think that he can certainly bridge a little bit of that gap. So look at this stage, Beauty Perception's the big value. And Zabrin's is the top rater, and we'll just sort of monitor the market and see what happens with the rest. So thanks for listening, and good luck with your betting.